My parents skipped my daughter's funeral to go to my brother's pool party. Not because they were sick, not because they couldn't travel. They skipped it to go to my brother's pool party, a last-minute celebration for his promotion. He sent out the invite on a whim, and they dropped everything for it. Packed bags, brought champagne, posted smiling pictures in swimsuits, while I stood by a tiny white urn, alone. They chose his joy over my grief. They chose his success over my daughter's life. They chose their golden boy, Marco, over me, over her. Before I go any further, please hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell, and drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. And if your family ever made you feel invisible, this story is for you. Her name was Isla. Her name was Isla. I spent months getting ready to meet her. Every sock, every blanket, every lullaby whispered into the dark. She was everything I prayed for. And losing her broke something I don't think will ever fully heal. But that wasn't the only loss that week. I also lost any illusion that I had real parents. 2 days after the funeral, I got a text. "We thought it would be too painful to see you like that. Hope you understand. Marco's pool party was already planned. We'll come visit next month, once things settle." Next month. Like grief has a waiting period. Like my pain should have been more convenient for them. I didn't reply. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stopped. That night, I sat at my desk and started writing. Not a letter, not a journal entry. A plan. Cold, quiet, focused. Because if my parents could choose my brother's party over my daughter's funeral, then I could choose peace over their presence. What they didn't know was, I wasn't just grieving. I was also growing. After Isla's funeral, I shut everyone out, even my husband for a while. But I didn't disappear. I went silent and got to work. I threw myself into something I had shelved for years, a nonprofit, something I had always wanted to do in memory of my grandmother who was a pediatric nurse. I called it Isla's Light, a foundation that offers grief support and emergency resources for parents who lose children and are left with nothing. It started small, online sessions, support groups, fundraising dinners. But then, people started noticing. Doctors, therapists, even local news stations. Grieving parents shared our site. Donations came in. I did my first interview, shaking, crying, but proud. I wasn't telling Isla's death story. I was telling the story of the spark she left behind. And while I was building all that, I found something else. Something that changed everything. While I was building Isla's Light, something unexpected came into play. An inheritance. My great-aunt Carmen had passed away 2 years earlier. No kids, very private. We'd always been close, closer than anyone knew. She'd seen my struggle. She'd quietly watched it all. What my parents didn't know, she left everything to me. A full estate, properties, a trust, investments, millions. And I hadn't touched a cent. Until the day I opened Instagram. There they were, my parents, smiling poolside at Marco's mansion, drinks in hand, tan, relaxed. The caption? Celebrating family, only the best ones, of course. That was the moment. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I made a decision. I used a portion of the inheritance to hire a private investigator, not to dig up dirt, to track down something else. A property. A very specific one. There's this luxury resort my parents love. They rent it every year for family holidays, including Christmas last year, the one I wasn't invited to. The PI confirmed the ownership. Then I bought it, quietly, legally, fully, through a shell company. I owned it all. The villas, the gardens, the pool, even the catering and security contracts. And then I waited. 4 months later, Marco sent out the invite. Sterling Family Bash, summer weekend. Poolside brunch, live music, no drama allowed. My parents RSVP'd with heart emojis. So did I. But not to attend. Just to be there. The weekend of the party came. I checked into the main villa a day early, unannounced. I brought my nonprofit team and a video crew that had been documenting Isla's light. They didn't know where we were going, not until we arrived. I walked up to the front desk. The manager blinked. "You're the new owner?" I nodded. My name's on everything. The next morning, the guests arrived. Marco, my parents, dressed in designer swimwear, fake smiles already on. They rolled up in golf carts like they owned the place, until they hit the gate. "Sorry," the guard said. "This is a private event. Entire property is closed to outside guests." Marco frowned. "I'm Marco Sterling. My family books this place every year." The guard scrolled on his tablet. "Yep, found you. Looks like you were removed from the guest list last night." "Removed by who?" my mother snapped. That's when I stepped out. White dress. Calm. Behind me, boxes labeled Isla's light. The video crew quietly filming. "I removed you. You weren't invited to Isla's funeral, so I figured this was fair." They froze. My mom blinked. "You bought this place?" "No," I said. "I own it." My father laughed, bitter, ugly. Marco swore under his breath. But the guards didn't flinch. They escorted them off the property. No shouting, no drama, just finality. As they turned to leave, I handed them each a card. It read, "This weekend was for family only. You made it clear I don't belong in yours, so I built my own." That night, we held a candlelit gathering on the lawn. Dozens of parents, people who had lost children, people who had lost themselves. We sat under the stars, told stories, held hands, cried. And for the first time since Isla died, I felt whole again. Not because I won, not because they lost, because I created something they could never destroy. The fallout was fast and brutal. Marco tried to save face. He posted cryptic stories on social media. Funny how people forget who helped them rise. Some folks only remember you when they need a villain. But screenshots don't lie. Photos of him, poolside, right next to videos from the Isla Light event circulated fast. Sympathy flipped. Sponsors pulled out. Partnerships dissolved. He tried to throw another party at a different venue the next month. They told him it was fully booked. It wasn't. My parents? Silence. No angry texts, no long voicemails, just nothing. And honestly, that should have been the end. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace, and I had it. Until one rainy afternoon, I got a letter, tight, cold, from their lawyer. They wanted a meeting, not to apologize, not to reconnect, to ask for help. Turns out their lifestyle had caught up with them. Lavish vacations, funding Marco's business ventures, multiple mortgages. Now they were drowning in debt. And the final blow? Their house, the one they were about to lose, it was in my name. Years ago, when I was barely 21, my dad transferred the deed to me to dodge a tax issue. He never told me. I found it buried in old legal files while expanding Isla's light. He forgot, but the documents didn't. So I had a choice. Sell the house, save it, take it. I did none of those things. Not yet. I asked them to meet me face to face. They came to my office, pale, tired, smaller than I remembered. My mom wore sunglasses. My dad stared at the floor. Marco wasn't with them, of course. I didn't offer water. I didn't smile. I slid one paper across the table. "What's this?" my mom asked. "It's a letter," I said. "It says, I forgive you, but I no longer owe you anything." At the bottom, a property transfer. They looked confused. "You're giving the house back?" my father asked. "No," I replied. "I'm donating it." "To who?" my mother whispered. "To Isla's Light. It's going to become a grief retreat for parents like me, the ones who had no place to go." My mother gasped. "You can't do that. That's our home." I looked her in the eyes. "No," I said quietly. "It never was. You made sure of that the day you chose a party over your granddaughter's funeral." They broke. Finally. Tears. Real ones. But I didn't reach out. I didn't hold them. I let the silence sit. As they stood to leave, I spoke one last time. "You're welcome at the ribbon-cutting ceremony," I said, "as guests. But don't bring champagne. Just kindness." That night, I sat on the porch of that house one last time. The wind hummed the lullaby I used to sing to Isla. I lit a small candle. It flickered, then glowed steady. That house, once soaked in betrayal, was now reborn in purpose. And so was I. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and turn on the bell. And tell me in the comments, what would you do if your parents chose a party over your child's funeral?